Did it ever occur to you that some people just don't care about money?
Don't be silly. We're talking serious.
If you have a wedding coming up, you're trying to buy your first car, you're trying to buy your first house, maybe you just graduated high school and you want to move into your first apartment, whatever the case may be, I got you. We're going to get into how I use the financial plan with my clients. As you guys know, my background is in finance. I used to do financial planning with people, and I'm just going to give you guys the steps that I would do entry level for you guys to accomplish any goal that you have. But first, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Karina Lude Mental Gems. This channel is dedicated to leveling up in all areas of your life. So let us learn together, read together, but most importantly, grow together. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. First of all, let's get into what is financial planning for those of you who do not know. This is going to be a detailed video. What is financial planning? Financial planning is an ongoing process that looks at your entire financial picture in order to create strategies for achieving your short and long-term goals. Okay, the first step in financial planning is identifying your goals. What do I mean by that? Depending on your goals, your plan will be different. Set a realistic time to achieve your goals. If you're making $40K a year and your goal is to save $1 million in 6 months, obviously that's not realistic. The amount of time you will need to reach your goal is also dependent on what your goal is. So identify your goals. If it's a wedding, what's the date of your wedding? When do you need to have this paid and that paid? Break it down into parts. I need the venue by this date. I need who's going to cook the catering by this day. I need this by that date. Your plan might be different, and you might have different timestamps and goals based on if you're going to do a wedding or not. Depending on what your goal is, it's going to require more time, especially if you're getting a house. It probably is going to require a lot more time to prepare and save and plan for a house than it's going to be to get a car, or then it's going to be for even a wedding at times, because the average wedding is nowhere near the cost for purchasing a home, right? So that's the first thing that we need to identify. The number two is track your money. How much are you bringing in monthly? Based on your income, is your goals even realistic? If not, then let's begin to identify ways to supplement or increase what we are bringing in. Will saving money for your goals put you in a deficit? This includes new side hustles, etc. Be brutally honest with yourself and remember to be realistic, okay? Your goal has to match your income. If you're making $25,000 a year in the state of Florida, that's below the poverty guideline, and your spouse may be making 30, just slightly above the poverty guideline, and you're planning a wedding, it might not be realistic if your wedding is next year, your income, to have a budget of $60,000 to $70,000 for a wedding when that's not what you're bringing in. You have to be realistic now, where you might be like, okay, I might need to supplement my income or find other ways to add to what I'm making now, because realistically, my dream wedding is not going to be possible on the income that I have. So your goal has to match your income. And if it doesn't match your income, this is when individually you start to strategize with yourself or whoever, your spouse, on how we're going to bring this income to make it work. Okay. Next is, let's create a budget. Number three, based on realistic income. You can't make a budget based on what you hope will come in or money you are waiting to arrive. Anything can happen. So it's best to plan and budget around your circumstances now in the present and where you are now. Budgeting requires you to evaluate every inch of your finances, down to how much money you spend on a pack of gum monthly, how many bottles of wine you buy a week, or a cup of coffee daily. Every penny needs to be accounted for. Track what hidden fees and extra expenses are you paying for that you're not using. Gym memberships, even apps on your phone. A lot of people complain when I did budget planning with them that, I don't know, Apple charges me be like $200. I don't know where that's coming from. They have so many memberships on apps. Go look through your settings. Go look on apps and memberships that you have, monthly payments that you're making, that you're not even using those apps anymore, but it's still going on. Cancel those things, because that's why your Apple bill will be so high, or no matter what phone company you're in. There's probably services with your cable company that you don't use. You don't watch these channels. Like, a lot of people don't watch ESPN or whatever, but it comes with the package there, and cancel that. And sometimes it might be best to just have internet. If you have internet and then you have like Hulu or whatever, you can watch live TV from Hulu, where what's the point of paying for cable? So you don't need that. Stuff like that. You start to strategize, what can I eliminate from my life that's going to make it easier? What I say, when people are budgeting, they tend to leave out a lot of little things in their budget. Women don't like like to include sanitation, like, you know, pads and like feminine products and stuff. They don't like to include those in their budget. You have to include that in your budget if you're going to need new underwears or panties and stuff like that. Those are all things that have to be included in your budget. You need to include every single detail to make sure you really see, because sometimes you'll be shocked just how much money you're spending on an area of your life that you really could afford to cut the spending and be like, dang, I know it's this much. Let me find alternative ways to lower this. And that just goes into your budget for your goal now that you've eliminated that. So what to include in your budget? I made a list for you guys. Number one, tithes and offerings. If you're Christian, of course, you pay tithes and offerings. Always remove that. That's the first thing I do whenever I get money. Remove that first, okay? But rent or mortgage, wherever you're living now, if you already have a house and your goal may be something else, your basic necessity will include the roof over your head, which is rent and mortgage, of course, groceries, dining out. Yes, even have a fund for leisure, a budget leisure in, that when you're going over budget for your leisure, then you're like, no more leisure for me for the month because I only had $100 allocated for leisure. I've already used that. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm just going to sit my butt home, Netflix and chill because I don't got no more money for leisure. Okay. Household maintenance products like detergent for clothes, Clorox, dish soap, stuff that you'll need, toilet paper and stuff like that. An emergency fund, subscription and memberships, travel, medical expenses, bank fees, auto or transportation expenses, pet costs if you have pet, entertainment, clothing, personal care, charity. And if you have children, then add that to the list also. Daycare, field trips, whatever they will need, clothes, books, school supplies, whatever they will need, add that to your list. Also, make sure you know exactly where money is going from. Okay, now number 4 is let's fix your credit in this part of the planning, okay? Get rid of any collections. I used to fix credit also for my clients I'd write letters to the credit bureaus. I will do a credit video for you guys if you live in the United States and you want that. I can do that video. I know I have people that don't live in the United States. I don't know too much of what it is, but America is bogus. Let me stop. But we do have a credit system, and so I can do a video for that. Comment below if you guys would be interested in that. But that's my 4th step in the planning with them is fixing the credit. Okay, getting rid of collections, inquiries, and lowering your debt ratio. Even settling with collections, it's not always just removing collection items or stuff like that, but even settling a debt or even certain debts that you have. Maybe you're not in collection, but you want to just pay it off. You want to settle it. I can teach you guys how to write letters to get companies to settle a debt with you guys also. Comment below if you want that. Number 5 is plan for taxes and emergencies in the midst of you preparing for this big purchase. Can't neglect your responsibilities in the midst of the excitement. I know you're excited, you're spending, you're saving and stuff, but you cannot forget that you will have taxes to pay. You don't want trouble. A lot of rich people even do that because rich people, they need financial planners the most and financial managers because it's so much money and they have so many businesses that they want to invest in and stuff like that. They get excited sometimes and they forget to pay their taxes. And this is when Uncle Sam comes for you. Like they come for you. A lot of rich people get in trouble for tax evasion, all of that. They forget about that. And I'm telling you, do not neglect while you're making your money, you're putting stuff aside, saving. If you know you're going to pay taxes, put that aside too. Also, emergencies, anything that could happen, a death in a family, whatever emergency, have something in the midst of that too that don't interfere with your goals. And number 6 is after you finally reach your goal, there is aftercare, okay? Many people purchase their homes or cars, but struggle after because they don't upkeep. Even they get married, but once they're married, they don't have a house to go to once they're married. They're living in an apartment. I know people that had like $60,000, $70,000 weddings and still don't own a home. That's ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about it. It's not a good business move. You have to have aftercare for your goals. Also, as your wealth grows over time, you should start thinking about ways to protect it in case of an emergency. The more assets you acquire, you now have to move differently and your monthly expenses will increase the more assets you require. Okay, so what do I mean by aftercare? Do you have money? Like even when I'm going on a trip, like a super expensive birthday trip or something, say I'm going to Italy, who knows? And I don't want to come back and be broke. So even if I'm saving for the trip to go, I'm also saving for when I come back. If I don't have money when I come back, I'm not going to go. You get what I'm saying? When you're married, if after the wedding, you don't have no money to go back to, then you did something wrong. Okay. When you purchase the house, a lot of people purchase their house. They don't get furniture for like 6-7 years because they can't afford to get furniture. They didn't plan for the extra fees, HOA, gardeners, the increase in utilities, like to have in a high ceiling, house, circulating air, it costs way more than when you lived in the apartment. So they planned for the house, they got it, and it's like that's all that mattered to them, but they don't have nothing saved for after the fact. You know what I mean? Or you buy the Mercedes Benz or you buy the luxury car, but maintenance cost like 3 times more than what it costs for your regular car. Do you have stuff saved for that. There are several kinds of insurances that you might get to protect your assets that every responsible adult should have, and I encourage them to get when I'm creating a financial plan with them. And I'm going to tell you what these insurances are so that you can have them to kind of remove the stress of the aftercare, okay? One is life insurance, okay? Life insurance goes hand in hand with estate planning, especially if you got married, you have kids, or whatever the case is. Life insurance, depending on your goal, just have that. You never know. You don't want to leave your loved ones behind with nothing. Number 2 is homeowners insurance, especially when you get the home. It's crucial to protect what's likely your primary asset. For most people, their home is their primary asset, right? Their biggest purchase that they'll ever make in their whole life, okay? Your home, you got to protect it against disasters or crime, and homeowners insurance can cover unexpected damages and losses to your property. You don't have to worry too much about saving large amounts of money in case of hurricanes, tornadoes, floodings, etc. I live in Florida, so we get a lot of hurricanes, okay? It's a must for all homeowners in Florida to have homeowners insurance. But you know what's crazy? A lot of people don't. And when those natural disasters come, or people that move from New York, even or whatever, they come down here, they don't have those insurance. We get tropical storms nonstop. And I noticed the people who don't have homeowners insurance, they got to come out of pocket for all those expenses, leaking roof and this and that. They got to pay out of pocket. Whereas once you have homeowners insurance that cover all those things, floodings, etc., it don't have to come out of your pocket. You don't need an emergency fund for that. That's what you're paying insurance for, you know? And I don't think it matters anywhere you stay. Everywhere has natural disaster or potential for anything to happen. Break-ins, items being stolen, all of this, you know, have homeowners insurance in case somebody slip and fall in your home. I know a friend whose aunt tried to sue her because she slipped and fell on her stairs at the house. That's crazy to me. And they had to go on with the insurance company, the homeowner's insurance, to kind of take care of. That's crazy to me, but you never know. So that's part of your aftercare plan too. And also the third is health insurance. Health insurance makes sure that you don't acquire high medical bills in the long run that goes to collections unpaid. You know, you can pay your copay instead of a full amount. You'll never know when you might just be ready for another home purchase or a car. You don't want to have to wait to figure out medical bills on your credit. You can't make money. You can't work if you're not secured health-wise. You got to make sure you're prepared health-wise to continue to make money, to continue to provide for your family, and you will need health insurance to do that. Do not neglect that. That's part of your aftercare. Always have a budget for health insurance, dental, or gynecologist, whatever it is, prostate and stuff, to make sure that you're able to continue to save, continue to work, continue to have goals, right? And the next is auto insurance. Auto insurance can protect you from costs due to theft or damage to your car or even accidents. I think it's illegal to even drive in most states without insurance, yet so many people do it. I can tell you guys a story. I've been hit by somebody before and she didn't have insurance. And she was like, oh my goodness, I don't have insurance. I'll pay out of pocket. Just please don't call the police, blah, 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 blah. And okay, I didn't call the police. And I was like, dang, you know, that's crazy. But she did have to pay everything out of pocket. What you mean? Because those cars are expensive, you know, and you were reckless. That's the consequences of life. But I'm like, dang, you don't have insurance. You're just driving around with no insurance. There's a lot of people driving around with no insurance. And they end up, when they hit somebody, having to pay everything out of pocket because they didn't want to be responsible to do that. That's an unexpected cost that probably wasn't in her budget. Or that probably is not going to be in your budget. So it's always better to just be prepared and have the auto insurance. Don't be reckless. I know in the state of Florida, you have to legally, you cannot drive that way. But I don't know how it is for everywhere else or other countries. Don't want to, because sometimes when you have to pay out of pocket when you hit somebody, some people can be shady and add to it and add money to it. Sometimes it is easier to not get the insurance involved and then your price go up and you might want to pay out of pocket with people for certain circumstances. But sometimes it's better to just let the insurance take care of it because people like to be shady. At least you know if it's fraudulent, the insurance companies will go after them if you can report it or whatever. But sometimes the damage could be like $200 and it's like, oh, it's $2,000. And then you like, let me go to the mechanic. Let me give you my guy. I'll give y'all a tip. If you ever hit somebody, okay, and you want to pay for the damages, you find a mechanic. Don't let them find a mechanic. You look up the prices and you go with them or you pay the mechanic directly. Thank me later, okay? So next is disability insurance. Disability insurance is a reimbursement of lost income due to an injury or illness that prevented you from working, you know? I have worked with clients that had sudden strokes, that had sudden heart attacks. They couldn't work for several months, and disability was what helped them, okay? If you're working for a corporate company, you should have those type of insurance, workers' comp, all of those things, right? But disability insurance helps to protect you in case you can't work. You don't know what it is. Look at when C-19 happened and everybody was in lockdown and stuff like that, there was a lot of people that couldn't work because they were sick for weeks from this thing. They just could not function, right? But they were still getting paid because they had that insurance and stuff like that. So make sure you take care of yourself with that. And my final tip, not to make this too long. Lastly, I want you guys to have fun with learning about money, okay? And planning your life. Don't be stressed. Approach it with a genuine interest and it will become natural to you. Anything you approach with anxiety and stress will always seem unbearable and like a burden. You got this. And I hope you all reach your goals. Always remember that. See it as fun. Live a life of abundance mentally and try to educate yourself in the most possible fun way. If the stiff-necked people that use too much big words for you to understand what they're saying is not doing it for you, I guarantee you there's countless creators on here that speaks in the easiest terms for you to understand, where it's fun, it's energetic, it's entertaining, okay? Stocks for Dummies, Financial Planning for Dummies, like those for Dummies book. They're really, really good, okay? Because even sometimes you can go to school for something, honey. You can get your degree in something and still don't know what you're doing, okay? And then you still got to learn outside of school, okay? But this is all I have for you guys. Comment below what other thoughts you want. All your financial questions, just comment them below. I got you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.